Okay, let's get started. So go ahead, get lined up. Shoulders over wrists, hips over knees, and start with the grounding. So it's grounding into your mat, and then just start moving. So moving with your breath. Maybe you inhale, lift your tail, let that roll up through to your chest. Exhale, tuck your tail, roll through guts up towards your spine. And just try to keep moving, try to keep breathing. Just doing some cat-cow. You can add on to that, so try making some circles with your head and your tail. Try going one way. And then try to go the other direction. Then just come back to your neutral spine. Take your knees a little bit wider than your hips. Shift your sits bones back towards your heels and lower your chest towards the mat for your child's pose. Just letting your sits bones sink back, reaching your fingertips forward. Taking some good breaths into your whole rib cage, all directions. Your next inhalation, slide all the way down onto your belly on your mat. Untuck your toes. So bring your hands like right under your shoulders, hug your elbows in close. Root down through your pubic bone, point your toes, press the tops of your feet down. So really using your core to protect your spine. And then just gently lift your chest. Little to no weight in your hands. You can kind of pull for your cobra. And gently lower down. So again, re-engage at the bottom. Rooting down into the floor. You can roll your shoulders back. So really reaching the crown of your head forward. Pubic bone down. And release. You can tuck your toes under and use your breath to press yourself back up onto hands and knees. And then we'll try a thing. So just take your left toes back. So really spread through your fingers, really committing to that base. And then see about lifting your leg about hip height. So trying to find square hips. And then we're gonna do like baby half moon. So you can think about turning your toes away from each other, rolling your femur bones open away from each other. And trying to get your standing femur bone right under your hip. So you can move between square and open. Or you can think about really pressing into the outer side of your right shin. If you feel like it, maybe unweighting your left hand, opening up for this like knee down half moon thing. And coming through neutral. And I'll try your other side. So just take your right toes back, really spread through your fingers, get that like palm basketball hands going on. And then lift your right leg, toes pointed at the floor. And as more you can engage, the easier it will make things. So try sucking your femur bone into your hip socket. So square, square, square. And then try to roll that femur bone open. So pressing to the outer edge of your left shin. So you can just move between square, so hip headlights to the floor, and then open. And breathing. And then coming back, hands and knees, maybe pass through child's pose. Then you can tuck your toes under and press down, lift your hips up and back, finding a down dog. So take up lots of space. So press into your hands. You can think about spinning your inner elbows forward. Knees can be bent. Lift your tailbone, shift your chest back, and you can be still and breathe. Or if you want some movement, you can pedal out your feet. Keep lifting through your shoulders, like you're trying to shift your weight back towards your feet. And slowly walk your feet to your hands. Just making your way into your first forward fold. So in your forward fold, feet about hip width distance, parallel, knees can be bent. Maybe they're so bent that your belly lays on your thighs. Grab opposite elbow and sway, bob, side to side. So grounding through your feet and just try to let your whole upper body hang and be heavy. Go lie down. Down, 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 down. So then just heel toe your feet apart. So at least as wide as the edges of your mat, maybe wider. Turn your toes out. You bring your palms together and then slowly make your way up into a high squat. Really grounding through your feet. Try to relax your shoulders, relax your face. It's a good place to find like how much do you release and let go and how much do you stay engaged. And then once or twice, just slowly move in between your squat and your forward fold. Off. And just try to keep breathing. And no rush. Next time you're in your forward fold, we'll meet there. You can bring your feet a bit closer together, about hip width distance, parallel. So ground into your feet, get that foot to butt connection. And exhale your way halfway. So really driving your big toes down. Belly button towards your spine. And release, pulling forward. So once more, grounding into your feet. You're going to exhale your way halfway position. Knees can be bent. And fold forward. And step your big toes to touch. Bend your knees, slide your sits bones down and back, lift your chest. Sweep your arms out and up. Maybe bring your palms to touch. Your Utkatasana chair pose. Just really press your feet down. Maybe breathing more into the back of your rib cage. If this is awful, you could also take your palms together in front of your heart. Just being here for at least three breaths. And press down and dive all the way up to standing. Off, Luther, off. Reach your arms overhead, Urdhva Hastasana, grounding through your feet, a little sponginess in your knees. You can try to lift up your heels a couple times, rising up on the balls of your feet. And try not to hold your breath. Next time your heels are down, you keep them down. Take your right hand down, reach your left hand up, you internally rotate, so inner elbow towards your face. Maybe that's enough of a side bend, or you can let your hips shift the opposite way. You can relax your head and neck, so maybe look down. And exhale, press down to reach your other arm up. Reach up, get some length. Take your left hand down, reach your right arm up, internally rotate like you're trying to get taller. Maybe that's enough, or let your hip shift over opposite side for a standing side bend. And just going as far as you can still breathe. And press down to lift both arms up. And bend your knees, slide your sits bones down and back for your Utkatasana chair pose. It's really getting that low core engagement, that lift of the perineum. So contracting the muscle between your sits bones, pubic bone, tailbone. Engage your other core muscles. Maybe sink a bit lower. And then slowly lower your belly to your thighs. Press down to lift your hips up. Get on the couch, on the couch, on the couch, on the couch, on the couch. Lie down. And just making your way back to your forward fold. Grounding into your feet, lift yourself halfway. And release, fold forward. You can plant your hands and step back into plank. A slight tuck of your tailbone, little cat back. Press into the backs of your knees. Big breath and exhale your hips up and back into your down dog. And feel free to roll in between your down dog and your plank a couple times. And just keep breathing. And slowly walk your feet to your hands. Make sure you have a block handy, or if you don't have a block, whiskey bottle will totally work. So going back to your forward fold, feet about hip width distance, grounding into your feet, exhale your way halfway. And fold forward. You put your hand, step back with your left foot for a lunge. You can stay up here, or if you want to go a little deeper, gently lower your back knee. Lie down, lie down, lie down, down, down. And you can grab your block or your whiskey bottle, right? So block under your left hand. And then you just open up with your right hand for a twisted lunge. Knee can be up or down. And square back off. So from here, you spin your back heel down. We'll do some side angle. So you can have your block on the inside if you want more twisting, or the outside. I'm thinking outside is good. So outside your foot, you want your knee tracking with your toes. And this top hand, you can just take it to your sacrum or your top hip. There's a lot going on in your lower body. So front hip is tucked under, top hip, you can let it roll down, and then turning your chest forward. So it's like oppositional force movement going on. Press your feet apart, make sure your arches are engaged, breathing. Really reaching the crown of your head away from that back foot. So you've got this super straight line. And also check in, like, where the heck is your weight distributed in your feet? It can be interesting. And then to transition, just slowly press into your foot to move towards straightening your leg for your triangle. Maybe that becomes too low, so you need to bring your block closer. You could even bring that hand to your inner, like, knee, shin for your triangle. And the tendency is to try to round down to get to the floor. So to avoid that, think about sliding your top shoulder towards your top hip to, again, keep that straight torso lined up with your leg. You can move in between your triangle and your side angle a couple times. And if this is too low, using your prop, you could also totally stay up here. But definitely breathing. You can rebend your front knee, lift your chest. So just stacking your shoulders over your hips and lift your arms up. For your warrior two, and just keep making sure that front knee isn't collapsing in. So keep it tracking with your toes, press your feet apart. And see if you can engage your arms without getting crunchy in your shoulders. So maybe exaggerate. So shrink your shoulders into your ears, that's awful, and then relax them down. Big breath. Actually, let's do this. So pivot once, lie down, down, lie down. So pivot once, pivot again, bring your block with you, and find a good wide-legged stance. So turn your toes out, get a good bend to your knees. Try to find a neutral spine, so like slight lift of your tailbone. You can glide side to side. Just checking out what that's like. Good bend to your knees. We'll do some eagle arms. So right over left, you can clap, lift your elbows up, draw your shoulders down. Big breath. And exhale to press down and open up, a giant X. And then rebend, switch arms. So left over right, lift your elbows up, draw your shoulders down. Grounding into all four corners of both feet. Just always coming back to that foot to ground connection. You're gonna unwind your arms, bring them to your thighs, let your butt drop behind you, and just move into a squat to come down. So maybe finding your whiskey bottle or block, parallel out the inner edges of your feet. You could even flip your whiskey bottle on its side. So press your feet apart and try to find a neutral spine. So I'll go from side view. So a little lift of the tailbone, and then like someone's poking you in the solar plexus. Press your feet apart. Try and keep that lift of the perineum. And then so many places you can go from here. You can walk your hands back in between your feet, let your spine round if you think that might feel good. Or if you want some movement, you can do some skandasana. Go lie down. So just shifting your weight side to side, flexing the foot that you're moving away from. You could even unweight your hands like a big yoga bird. And let's try the switching directions thing. So pivot once, lie down, lie down, 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 lie down. Lie down. Lift there, lie down, lie down, down, down. You're fine. So let's pivot once, pivot again. So finding your lunge on this side, right? Maybe coming down, hands framing your front foot. And make it active, really press that front foot down. And I find the more you press that front foot down, the easier it is to unweight your hands a little bit. You can take your whiskey bottle or block under your right hand, and then open up for a twist towards the left. Just going somewhere you can still breathe. And then from here, you can see your feet. So spin that back heel down, lining up your front heel with your back arch. You can bring that block on the outside of your foot, right? Get a good bend to your knee, top hand to your top hip or your sacrum. Lie down, lie down, lie down, down, down. Lie down, Peter. Lie down. For your side angle. That top could also reach around for your front hip crease for a bind. Press your feet apart, breathe. And then to transition into your triangle, just slowly press into your front foot to move towards straightening your front leg. Let that top hip roll down, opening your chest. You always take that top hand up. And make sure you're not locking out your knees. And you can move in between your side angle and your triangle. Just going slow. Try to stay engaged in your hamstrings, right? To protect your attachment point to your sits bones. And rebend your front knee and lift your chest, stacking your shoulders over your hips. Maybe you need to take a wider stance, right? If your knee is going past your ankle. So knee over ankle, knee tracking with your toes. For your warrior two, big breaths. And cartwheel your hands down. Coming through that wide-legged thing, if you want to take a moment there again. Then walk your way all the way around towards the front of your mat. So from your lunge, shift your weight forward, step your feet together, come into your forward fold. So grounding into your feet, let your upper body go, let your head go. Just finding your breath. And you take a super big breath. Side out. Grounding into your feet. Lift yourself halfway position, your Ardha Uttanasana. And fold forward. You can step your big toes to touch, bend your knees, your sits bones down and back, lift your chest, sweep your arms out and up. You press your palms together. You take your gaze past your thumbs. And press down and dive all the way up to standing. You could do a little standing back bend, bending at your elbows, drawing your elbows back, lift your chest. Maybe lift your gaze. Reach up, big breath, and exhale, swan dive. So hips build forward, hips, then you can let your spine round. Grounding into your feet, lift yourself halfway. And fold forward and plant your hands and step back into plank. So option to go through a flow. So slowly, keeping your elbows in close to your body, slowly lower all the way to your mat. Super slow. At the bottom, you can untuck your toes, root down through your pubic bone, tops of the feet, maybe point your toes. So roll your shoulders back, lifting your chest for your cobra. And exhale down. You can tuck your toes under, big breath. And exhale your way, however you want, back to your down dog. You come through hands and knees. Lie down. Lie down. Luther, down. Lie down. Back to your down dog. Just take up lots of space. Taking your gaze back between your feet. Spinning your inner elbows forward, lifting your tail. You can step your feet a bit closer together. And take your left leg high, keeping your toes pointed at the floor. Keep lifting through your shoulders. And draw your knee towards your face, guts up towards your spine. Big breath, exhale that foot back. You can draw your knee back in towards your face, guts up towards your spine. Go lie down. Lie down. You want your rope? Rope. Set your foot down into your lunge. Oh, and you want to block handy for this guy. You can spin that back heel down. Open up with your left arm for a twist. And then spin your back heel down, ground, inhale your way up, reverse your warrior. So take that right hand behind you, reach your left fingers up. It's like a side bend. Do whatever feels okay on your gaze. Maybe that's looking up, maybe back behind you. And then come back to your warrior two. Big breath. And slowly cartwheel your hands. Hand down to a block for that low lunge. Spin your back heel down, reverse your warrior. Come back into your warrior two. Big breath. And slowly cartwheel that hand down. And when your hand comes down, your back heel lifts. So you're high up on the ball of that back foot. And you can bring both hands to the mat and make your way back to your down dog. Step your feet a bit closer together. We'll take the right leg high. Keep your toes pointed at the floor. Big breath. Draw your knee towards your face. Guts up towards your spine. And press back. And bring your knee back in towards your face. Guts up towards your spine. And set that foot down. So from your low lunge, you can grab that block. And twist, opening up towards the right. And square back off, spin your back heel down, reverse cartwheel up. So coming back into your reverse on the second side. So this hand reaches back for your front hip crease, reach up. And come back into your warrior two. Broadening through your collarbones. Big breath, slow cartwheel the left hand to your block. Back heel lifts. You can take that right hand to your sacrum for more stability. And then spin that back heel down, grounding into your feet. Reverse cartwheel into that reverse warrior. And then back into your warrior two. Maybe go a little deeper. Big breath, slow cartwheel your way down to that twisted lunge, back heel lifts. And then square back off. And bring your hands to either side of that front foot. And gently lower that back knee, making your way to hands and knees. Take your knees a little bit wider than your hips. Shift your hips back towards your heels, coming back into your child's pose. You can rest there for as long as you want, maybe at least 3 big breaths. And take your time to come up to a seat. And we'll do some cow face pose. So this is Might help to sit up on something. If you don't have a block or a whiskey bottle, you could use a towel just to elevate your hips a bit. So just sit on something. And then just cross your legs. So you could try left over right. And then the goal is someday in the future, and maybe the sitting up on something is getting in your way, and that's fine too. Just move your butt out of the way so you're on your sits bones. Goal, gazillion years from now, stack your knees. So knees over each other. Don't force it, right? Only want to go somewhere where you get some sensation. And you can stay here, sitting up nice and tall. Or if you want to do the arm thing, it's opposite. So we've got left over right, so it'll be right hand up. Pat yourself on the back and then reach back for your fingers. Maybe here is good, or if you wanted more sensation, you could fold forward and let your head go. And if this bind is awful, but you like the chest opening idea, you could also grab opposite elbow. At this point, maybe your breath is starting to slow down and settle. And carefully unwrap yourself and then just switch sides. So right leg goes on top, finding your sits bones, moving your butt out of the way, sitting up nice and tall. You can stay here or do the arm thing. So left reaches up, pat yourself on the back, reach back for your fingertips. You could also use a strap, or that rope dog toy would probably be good. So wherever you want to go, you can stay here or fold over. For your cow face pose, your Gomukhasana. And slowly lift up. Let's do a boat. So find your sits bones, right? Maybe right on top of your sits bones. You grab yourself by your knee pits, lift your chest. So think back bend to counteract that slumping tendency. And start to lean back. And what I've been playing with lately is just lifting like 1 foot at a time. See what that does. Just do 1 foot at a time. Trying to stay on your sits bones, super tough. You can play with letting go, lifting up. This is a great time too if you know any jokes. It can help keep you here. You can release that and grab yourself by your knee pits. Make sure you got a lot of mat behind you. And then do slump. So tuck your tailbone, chin to chest, and then it'll just slow roll down all the way to your mat. Eventually, you'll need to let go. Just let go. Come on down. We'll do a little bridge pose. So finding your feet about hip width distance, knees bent, arms relaxed at your sides. And then just press into your feet to lift your butt off the floor. You can stay there or interlace your fingers behind your back and roll each shoulder under. Just whatever you're doing, make sure you've got some space under the back of your neck. So lift your chin slightly and try to not squeeze your butt. It's tough. Breathe. You can release your grip, lower your hips to the mat, step your feet about as wide as the edges of your mat. You can do some slow windshield wiper. So just letting your knees fall to each side. You can get your head involved, taking your head the opposite direction. Moving with your breath. And then let's do a little twist. So you can hug your right knee in towards your chest, stretch your left leg out long, staying grounded through all those points of contact with the floor. Any foot attention you want to give yourself, rolling out your ankles, flexing and pointing your toes is great. Maybe curling them. You can take your left hand to your left hip to help hold it down, and then just gently start to take your right knee open. Only going as far right as feels okay. Trying to stay grounded through your butt and stay grounded. Then gently guide your shin across your body. You can switch hands, let your butt roll off the floor. You can take your right hand to that outer hip or the floor. You can take your gaze the opposite direction as your knee. Just seeing what can release and let go at this point. And slowly roll back onto your back. So move to the center. And switch legs. Hug your left knee in towards your chest. And take your right hand to your right hip, hold it down, gently guide your left knee open. Maybe use that lift of the perineum to help keep you here. Your next inhale, gently guide your shin across your body, so closing your hip. You can roll onto your side. Further twist on this side. And then for Shavasana, just anything symmetrical. So you can hug your knees into your chest. Rock around. And then for your Shavasana, just loosely guided Shavasana. You stretch out your legs, let your toes fall open, gently tuck each shoulder under, lift your chin. And then just going through systematically, trying to let go. And if you have time, at least 5 minutes is definitely the way to go. And your thoughts are usually always going to be there. That's fine. The goal is not to cease the flowing thoughts, but rather maybe they fall to the periphery. And what keeps you present is just that observation of your body and your breath. Thanks for watching.